Ready? Before I mess up again?
Can the host start on video?
I think that you've got to turn your camera back on. There you go.
That's right. No, just,
Okay, we'll just wait for everybody. We're okay. James, you okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At least I know you're awake. Sometimes in the past, I didn't.
I was just getting groggy, so thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, my friend. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to reconvene the Board of County Commissioners meeting. And we've got a public hearing. Do we have a proof of publications in a motion?
Second.
The motion's made and seconded on proof of publication. Is there any discussion or debate? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes. Okay, I'm going to read this statement, and my fellow commissioners are going to look for ways that we can cut it back. Our staff will present each item for consideration here at the Rules of Public Hearing with staff recommendations. The board will have the opportunity to ask questions of staff when the presentations have finished. The applicant will have an opportunity to make a presentation. The board will have a chance to ask questions once the presenter has finished. Members of the public interested in speaking either for or against the project or issue, please fill out the yellow speaker form like this, that's in the back in the lobby as you walk in, indicating the item number, whether you are for or against, and place the form in the indicated tray in the lobby. Members of the public will only be allowed to give comment once per item. If you would like to have your comments submitted for the record, please fill out the green comment form located on the table in the lobby and place the form in the indicated tray in the lobby. Speakers should state their name and address clearly for the record and whether you are for or against the item. Speakers will be given 3 minutes to speak unless they are the official spokesperson for a HOA or a legally organized group, and then they will be given 6 minutes. If a board member has questions regarding the speaker's comments, an opportunity will be given once the speaker's time has expired. Speakers should limit their comments to pertinent information regarding the agenda item under discussion, keeping your comments as brief as possible. The clerk's office is required to retain any documents, photographs, drawings, etc., that are presented to the Board of County Commissioners. So if you show it to us, please be prepared to leave it with the clerk. Once the speakers are all heard, the clerk's office, once all the speakers are heard, the applicant will have the opportunity for rebuttal if necessary. We will close the public hearing and put the matter in the hands of the commission for discussion, recommendation, or motion. Following a motion and second, there will be floor discussion and a vote will be taken. Commissioners who do not cast an objecting vote are considered to have voted in support of the motion. And the rules for the quasi-judicial public hearing is while the board welcomes comments from all persons with interest in this proceeding, Florida law requires that the board decision and a quasi-judicial action be supported by competent, substantial evidence presented to the board during the hearing on the application. Competent, substantial evidence is such evidence as a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. There must be a factual basis in the record to support opinion testimony from both expert and non-expert witnesses. Persons presenting testimony may rely on factual information that they present, that is presented by a county staff, that the applicant presents, or a factual information included in the county staff report to support their testimony. All persons who present written materials to the board for consideration must ensure that the copy of such materials is provided to the clerk for inclusion in the board's record of proceedings and official minutes. Has any commissioner received any oral or written communications regarding quasi-judicial items? If so, please disclose the substance of the communication and identify.
Mr. Chairman, both on items number 29 and 30 I have, and I'm submitting that into the public record.
Okay. And I have submitted mine electronically, and quite frankly have not had any conversation or communications with either one, or with any of them.
I have no ex parte on any of these items.
I have no ex parte on these items.
Excellent. And now we're finished. And we're going to move along right now to item number 29, Connection Point rezone, consideration of rezoning from A1 agriculture to C3 general commercial and wholesale for a commercial nursery, landscape, or irrigation business on approximately 3.76 acres located on the north side of Connection Point, 0.25 miles west of State Road 426. And I believe that this is in Commissioner Delory's district, and Annie Selaway is the project manager.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I will be presenting Connection Point rezone. This request is a rezone from A1 Agriculture to C3 General Commercial and Wholesale on approximately 3.76 acres, located on the north side of Connection Point, quarter-mile west of State Road 426, to allow for a landscape and irrigation business. The subject property has an industrial future land use designation, which allows a maximum intensity of 0.65 floor area ratio. The intent of the industrial future land use designation is to provide appropriate locations for heavy commercial oriented towards wholesale distribution, storage, and other industrial uses. The property accesses onto Connection Point, which is classified as a local road. The site will meet all the land development site plan requirements for FAR, parking, buffers, and open space. Staff finds the proposed rezone compatible with the surrounding trend of development in the area and is consistent with both the allowable use and density provisions of the industrial future land use designation. The Planning and Zoning Commission met on January 7th and voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. Staff recommends the Board of County Commissioners to adopt the proposed ordinance enacting a rezone from A1 Agriculture to C3 General Commercial and Wholesale for a commercial nursery, landscape, and irrigation business on approximately 3.76 acres located on the north side of Connection Point, a quarter-mile west of State Road 426. And that is it for my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Selaway. Is there
Thank
any
you.
questions? Seeing none, is there anybody here, is the applicant here who wishes to speak?
Good answer.
Smart man.
Okay, is there anybody else? I have no speaker forms from anybody. Is there anybody here in the audience? Seeing none. James, anybody out there?
No, sir?
No, sir? Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt and enact a rezone from A1 agricultural to C3 general commercial and wholesale for a commercial nursery, landscape, and irrigation business on approximately 3.76 acres located on the north side of Connection Point, 0.25 miles west of State Road 426, as presented here today.
Is there a motion is seconded by Commissioner Lockhart? Discussion.
I would only say one thing, just for the correction of the record and minutes later on, is that I think it was July 7th that it went to P&Z. I think you just misspoke and said January. So
Excuse me,
That's
yes.
okay. I was
Thank
counting
you.
on my fingers how many months ago that was and realizing that was a long time ago, but it was July.
July 7th, yes.
Thank you for that correction.
Okay. Any further discussion, debate, or questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As the applicant's leaving, what are you going to do with it, sir?
What he's doing now?
Irrigation? Good for you. Congratulations, sir. Okay.
It's happening.
Good for him. Okay, Rockaway Circle, right-of-way vacay. We have Ms. Moskowitz. You are the project manager.
We're having a little, okay.
Here.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Good afternoon. Mary Moskowitz, Planning and Development Services. Item number 30 is a request to adopt a resolution vacating and abandoning a portion of uncut portion of Rockwood Circle right-of-way. The approximately 70 by 50-foot right-of-way is located on the southeast corner of Shallowford Street and Rockwood Circle. The applicants Alvin and Kimberly Legree are requesting the vacate in order to continue the use and maintain the property. The applicants have provided letters of no objection from all applicable utility companies, and Public Works has no objection to the requested vacate. This request complies with the requirements for vacating a right-of-way under Section 35.1.4 of the Land Development Code and the authorities of Section 336.09 and 336.10 Florida statutes. Therefore, staff recommends the Board of County Commissioners adopt the resolution vacating and abandoning an uncut portion of the Rockwood Circle right-of-way, that's a tongue twister there, for the record in Plat Book 9, page 49, in the public records of Seminole County, Florida. That concludes my presentation, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Are there questions of the project manager? Seeing none, is the applicant here? Please come on up and speak, sir, if you wish to speak.
We don't wish to speak, we just want to be here just so that if you have any questions, let us know.
Okay, did you pick that up, clerk? All right, fine, thank you very much. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak on this from public record or public hearing? James, I think I saw a hand raised.
Not at this time, sir.
Okay, no hand raised. Back to the staff and to the commission. We're going to close the public hearing. This is my district. I would just let you know that it seems that there is no objection to this, so if one of you would
Mr.
like to
Chairman.
make a motion, I'd be happy to.
Adopt a resolution vacating and abandoning the uncut portion of Rockwood Circle right-of-way as recorded in Plat Book 9, page 49, in the public records of Seminole County, Florida, and presented here today.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, next, public hearing on legislation, special exception amendment to the Land Development Code. And Ms. Moskowitz, you are again our project manager.
Good afternoon, Mary Moskowitz, Planning and Development Services. Item 31 is for an ordinance to amend the procedures for processing special exceptions. On April 13th, 2021, the Board of County Commissioners held a work session and directed staff to move forward with an ordinance to amend the LDC for special exception requests to be reviewed by the P&Z for recommendation with final approval by the BCC. This amendment of the Land Development Code has been discussed with the Board of Adjustments, and they have no objections to the proposed amendment. At their August 14th, 2021 meeting, the P&Z voted unanimously to recommend the BCC adopt this ordinance. Therefore, staff recommends the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance amending the procedures for processing special exceptions into the Seminole County Land Development Code for recommendation by the Planning and Zoning Commission and determination by the Board of County Commissioners. This concludes my report, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Questions?
Did members of the Board of Adjustment cheer in addition?
So there was, it was brought up, we brought it up a few months ago when we initially, after the April work session, we mentioned it to them. There was no objections then. And then at last night's Board of Adjustment meeting, there was also discussion, but again, there was no objections to the proposed amendment.
Sounds good. Cupcakes are in order, I'm sure.
Any questions? Any further questions? Is there anyone from the public here to speak on this? Seeing none, anybody in the virtual world?
Yes, sir, there's one hand. Bring him in.
Okay. Again, we need to have names. So is guest laptop Nancy Harmon?
Yes, Nancy Harmon, 752 Pioneer Way, Geneva, Florida. I am all for this, what do you call it, ordinance, I'm sorry. I just have two questions just to clarify for myself and possibly others. On page 5 of the ordinance, it would be paragraph 2, line about 106 and 108. It states on this document that in granting any exception, the Planning and Zoning Commission may recommend, and the Board of County Commissioners may prescribe appropriate conditions and safeguards. Violations of such conditions and safeguards, when made a part of the terms under which the variance is granted, shall be deemed as a violation of this chapter. I'd like to understand, because I was not able to find anything in this ordinance clear to me, what would be the action taken, and when would the action be taken with regards to a violation of the terms and the safeguards and the terms and conditions of the document, of the ordinance? That's question number one. And then on section 34.4, public notice procedures, I'd like to know if those procedures have incorporated those that were just recently adopted by a previous ordinance or a previous change to the code with regards to public notice procedures.
Okay, I'm going to let staff answer that. Ms. Moskowitz, please.
Yes, so I'll answer the second question first because it's the easier one. Yes, that does incorporate the recent changes, so the draft ordinance that you see in front of you does incorporate the recently adopted public notice procedures that were approved by the board.
Great.
The second question is on the actions and safeguards, and that would go through our normal code enforcement procedures. So if there is a violation to a special exception, it is treated like any other code enforcement violation.
Okay, thank you very much. James, is there anyone else?
No, sir.
Okay. Again, anybody in the audience? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any questions of staff? If not, is there a motion?
Motion to adopt the resolution amending the procedures for processing special exceptions in the Seminole County Land Development Code for recommendation by the Planning and Zoning Commission and determination by the BCC.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Discussion of the motion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. County Manager, your report.
I have nothing to report other than to remind the board and the public that the public hearings for the fiscal year 21-22 budget begin next month. The first one is on September 15th. That's a Wednesday at 6 p.m. And the second hearing for adoption is on September 24th, also at 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, County Attorney's report.
We took care of it this morning. I have nothing this afternoon. Thank you.
Any comments on that? Seeing none?
I hope not.
There is none requested future agenda items. Seeing that, so I'm going to just move on. Public comment or items not related to the agenda, and Mr. Hyde, you are up, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Hyde. I live at 2379 Audley Street in Oviedo. I hate to drag out a beautiful short afternoon session, but here we go. Seems like the last few meetings there's been a little background noise on the public speaking policies and rules. I take a little bit of responsibility for kicking the bee's nest on that. How about the 3 minutes and the 6 minutes? But so I went back and I read the policy. It's online. Speaking of transparency, it's easy enough to read. If I read correctly, the chair may allow an extra 3 minutes for a bona fide representative of our group or association. Otherwise, we get 3 minutes. Seems fair enough to me. In the case of someone like an HOA president who has a large group of people on a very hot issue, that 6 minutes is pretty darn important. There's a lot of folks that are really passionate, but just can't get up in front of this microphone, and they have mic fright. So I understand that, absolutely. In fact, I encourage it. I wish some of my neighbors had taken advantage of those 3 minutes when we were having a few of our challenges, like the station, the enclave, and so on and so forth. However, sometimes that extra 3-minute courtesy seems to get pushed a little bit into another realm. And sometimes it's almost as clear as a sunburn on my nose that that extra 3 minutes is really not for community advocacy, and I'll leave that at that. The next part is submitting a request to speak. The procedure, if I get it right, is the chair lets everybody know that if they wish to speak, they fill out a form and give it to the clerk at the beginning of the agenda item. That seems pretty fair. Everybody is on deck. However, it seems that in order to make sure they're the last speaker, everybody wants the last word, that some folks like to game the system, hold off their speaker form, and run them up there after something said or something changed. That's just simply not fair to the people who have gone by the rules set forth by the board to make it all fair for each other. One last thing, transparency. Let's see. All meetings are open to the public. Maybe not always at the most convenient time for everybody. If you had them at night, 7 o'clock at night, us seniors would be asleep by 9, and we'd miss everything. But meetings are broadcast on cable. I can see it on SCGTV. I can call 665-0808. I have it memorized. But now if you have Zoom, that seems to be bringing a whole new set of issues into it. If we had interactive Zoom like we had here this morning, while we had the station and the enclave going on, I assure you that you would have to declare a meeting past midnight the next day. So I think there needs to be some polishing done on that. Bottom line, you can go by the rules or change them. If you're going to have fully interactive Zoom or whatever, that's fine. But everybody go by the same rules on all of these. I really think that it's important that we do that. If you want a chaos and you want to have interactive everything, believe me, I can be Captain Chaos just like anybody else. So I would encourage you to,
Excuse me, Bill, your
go
time
by
is
the
up.
rules, folks. I've been there, done that, got the
Your
T-shirt,
time is up, Bill.
and took it to the 4th DCA. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And as you know, all rules are made to be flexible. We try to do the best, but I agree with you, and one of the reasons I keep pointing out, especially people when they come running up here wanting to have the last word, that's just not fair to everybody. I try to call them out when they do that, and hopefully they're getting the message very clear. Is there anyone else?
Chairman?
Yes.
First of all, I think you've just moved to my favorite citizen of the week for those comments. But they were so eloquently given, and given not from one of us, but a citizen. I would ask that we do follow our own rules. And quite honestly, when someone's holding a form, I think before public comment, all forms need to be submitted or you're not going to get called on. I think we actually have to put on the brakes. I jokingly have said, we probably all need to watch Caesar the Dog Whisperer because it's never the dog's issue, right? The dog is doing what we train him to do. And I now realize as that's coming out of my mouth that I am calling citizens dogs, but
That's not what you mean.
That is not what I mean,
not
so
what
I'm
you
just
mean.
owning that. But we have trained the participants to expect a back and forth dialogue with the 3 minutes, and that, I think, is dicey. We've trained people that it's okay to hold on, because getting called out really, quite frankly, isn't a problem to folks. And the last one that I really want to be cautious about is the notion that you can flip it to a green sheet and have us read it into the record when I'm not 100% convinced that's what that was intended to do. That was to be submitted for the record. If we start reading all of them into the record, I can tell you there are other boards in this county that got hooked on reading 3 and 4 hours worth of dialogue because everybody can turn in a form. So I think we do need to tighten this up to be fair to all the citizens that want to come. I appreciate the input. I want the input. I take the phone calls. I set the appointments. But to have it be chaotic in this room and to have that type of pressure put on staff that comes here to perform to the best of their capabilities every single day is not cool. So I think it's on us to actually heed the advice of the citizen of the week. And I'm done.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would agree with Commissioner Herr on many levels. In fact, I'd like to move Bill Hyde up to Citizen of the Month.
Okay, of the month, I'll go with that.
And I'm not trying to put you in a spotlight, Bill, but you did say all the right things, in my opinion. And I'm not saying it because you're sitting here. It's for transparency and it's for getting the meeting through. But I'd like to, and I'm agreeing with Commissioner Herr, but I'd like to take it a little step further. And I'd like to ask not today, but I'd like to have some input from our attorney to make sure that we're following all the rules and regulations as we're required to by the state of Florida.
Yep.
I will get a report back.
Yep.
A report back before your next meeting.
And I would agree with Commissioner Herr as well as Mr. Hyde that we shouldn't be allowing citizens to game the system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We also have somebody that has also raised their hand. I
Yes,
think
sir,
that's
bring them in.
Ms. Deborah Bauer. Is that correct, James?
That is correct, sir.
Ms. Bauer, you have the floor. Ms. Bauer?
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes?
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Deborah Bauer, 423 Eagle Circle in Castleberry, Florida. I'm coming to you today as a representative of the Sterling Park Homeowners Association and Save Deer Run Citizens Action Group. I wanted to acknowledge that the public meeting was held on the process to move forward with the acquisition of the former country club at Deer Run Golf Course. A public meeting was held on August 17th announcing to the community the process by which the MSBU vote for that community's participation in the golf course acquisition, to explain how it would proceed and go forward. And the reason I'm coming before the board today is I'm asking for you all to consider extending the 30-day window for the MSBU vote, largely for 3 reasons. We were told by county staff at the August 17th meeting that the MSBU ballots would be mailed on the 17th, and having spoken with Michael Eason in the MSBU office and Rick Durr in Leisure Services, we were then informed when we didn't get the ballots, the petitions by the end of last week, that the reason we had not received them was because the ballots actually didn't go out until Friday the 20th. And so most of the 2,200 residential units in Deer Run had not received their ballots as of Monday the 23rd, and they only started to hit today on August 24th. So we've already lost 7 days out of that 30-day period that we desperately need to be able to get all 2,200 ballots returned to the county commission. So I'm just asking for a little bit of help from the commission to help us extend that window so that we have enough time to make sure that all of the residents who must return the petitions have time to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bauer. Is that the only, Dr. Bauer, is that the only, I thought you said there was 3 things? That's it?
Oh, yes. There were 2 other issues in the way that the ballots have been presented. We've had individuals turn up, although the ballot was mailed to the correct address. When they opened it up, they would see their name on it with another address listed, don't know where it was coming from. And then the other issue is some people would have individuals listed as property owners on their property. When we would go in to the property appraiser's records, we don't know where those names were coming from because they don't match the property records on case. So I have a lot of residents in Deer Run that are both very frustrated, agitated, and to be quite honest, somewhat more than confused because now they have to go get ballot reprints because they've just asked, can we go ahead and can we just cross this out and send it in? And we've had to relay to them, no, you have to go to Michael Eason, you have to get these ballots corrected and then send them back. So that's complicating the matter as well.
Mr. Abel, could you please comment on that?
Joe Abel, Deputy County Manager. Yeah, a couple things there. We can email those corrected. Anybody that has one that is incorrect can reach out to Michael or Rick, either one, and we can email them new petitions if that would make it easier for them. If they choose to come, they can certainly come to the county services building here, but we can expedite that and get that to them by email, and then they can actually fill it out and send it back by email if they so choose. We'd already talked last week at the end of, or this weekend actually, when we realized that there was a delay, that we have no problem with extending the time. I was really kind of waiting to see exactly when they started hitting people's mailboxes, because we knew we had a couple days delay last week. And we probably didn't take that into account as appropriately as we should have, but we can certainly extend that date. Our goal was to get the information back to the board, in front of the board on the second meeting in September, so extending that for another week is not a problem.
What's the, extending it a week?
Extending it a week.
Wouldn't be a problem to
It's not a
get it
problem.
back on the end of the month, September meeting.
I don't have my calendar in my hand.
Well, that's why I'm asking. I want to make
Yeah.
sure that what you just said is,
So we're looking for Joe.
I just need
So today's the 24th?
today's the 24th.
The
I think
24th
we
of
had
September.
anticipated having them back on the 17th. We can certainly have them back on the 24th of
and the last
September.
meeting of the month is the 28th.
Is the 28th of, yes. So that'll give us time.
Is that the pleasure of the commission to give them an extra week?
Sure.
Okay. Do you have a consensus?
Thank you.
Do you need a formal motion?
No. I hope not, because
Okay.
I already approved them to do it.
Okay. Oh, then let's turn it down. Thank you, Joe. Ms. Bauer, did you, I hope that satisfied you. I don't see you there. I see another person, Mr. Humphrey.
I'm going to let him in, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, James.
I'm going to let him in right now, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Commissioner Constantine, thank you to the board for your help.
You are welcome, Dr. Bauer. Good luck.
Thank you.
Mr. Humphreys?
Yes, is she finished?
Yes, she has.
Okay, yes. First of all, let me thank you for your expression of concern earlier in the day. Oh, Joseph Humphreys, 883 Cardinal Point Cove, Sanford, Florida. And I would also like to suggest to Commissioner Zembauer that there are a lot easier ways to play hooky going forward. And I hope he's doing well as well, and I'm certainly glad to see that Commissioner Lockhart is back amongst the fold, and glad that she's doing better. Going back to the comments earlier, having conducted similar kinds of meetings like this at multiple positions over the years, I certainly agree to the importance of Robert's rules, and certainly understand that meetings of any kind can obviously degrade if you don't keep them, on point. Having said that, many of the issues that come before this board are very complicated and very impactful, not only for today's world that we live in, but the world we may live in and hope to live in years ahead and decades ahead, potentially. As we know, as Commissioner Zembauer has eloquently pointed out, in Seminole County, we're one of the smallest counties in the state, and yes, we are running out of land. We're also running out of a lot of resources. Obviously, water is a major issue these days. But having said that, I'm looking at a document that's entitled The ABCs of Local Land Use and Zoning Decisions. This is from the Florida Bar. And this document came from the environmental, because I wasn't exactly prepared to discuss this at the moment, so I apologize for not having everything at my fingertips. But this is from the committee that Paul Chipok was chairman of. And it specifically talks about the difference between quasi-judicial versus quasi-legislative. And I appreciate the county attorney's research into this and giving us some clear guidance. But again, in looking at this document, and it talks about how rather nebulous and at times contemptuous these kinds of debates over land use can become. And it basically points out, again, the difference between quasi-judicial and quasi-legislative, and the ability of people to rebut opinions that and facts that have been presented in this particular case. So my only question is, again, I certainly recognize and appreciate the need to keep meetings on course, but again, reading from this particular article, it says, in quasi-judicial hearings, parties are entitled, as a matter of due process, to cross-examine witnesses, present evidence, demand that witnesses testify under oath, and demand a decision that is based on a correct application of the law and competent substantial evidence in the record. Recent case law provides that limiting parties to only 8 minutes to present positions regarding a zoning resolution violates procedural due process under the circumstances of that case. So,
thank you, Joe.
I would ask the county attorney to consider this particular document from the Florida Bar. And again, obviously this doesn't apply all the time, but there are indeed cases when facts have been presented and in some cases need to be rebutted.
Thank you, Joe. You know, I hesitate to say this, but there has been a lot of times when citizens were cut off in the past that I felt it was important as chairman that we gave them full opportunity to speak their mind. And, you know, Mr. Humphreys, you being one of them, I appreciate you being involved. And just like you, Mr. Hyde, the only thing I would have to say is, and I respect what my colleagues have said, because I think in giving that flexibility, not all, in fact, very few have taken advantage of it, but they have taken advantage of it. And I think that that's where, you know, sometimes it's not the message, it's the messenger. And especially when they, you know, they do play the little hide and seek games with the yellow folders. And we, you know, I have tried and want everyone to feel that this is a free and open opportunity for them to speak. And I will give the flexibility necessary as long as I'm chairman. However, as I've tried to do in the recent past, I will also cut off people when I think that they're taking advantage or abusing the situation. And I promise you I will continue to do that. I did think it was important that we set a tone. Unfortunately, I do believe that there have been people that have tried to take advantage of that. And, you know, then when we have the Zoom, it happens the same way. And Mr. Humphreys, I'm not talking about you, but I do feel that, you know, the pendulum is turned completely the other way. And you know, I've kind of shown that the last couple of weeks. In fact, one citizen got very upset with me last week when I wouldn't give them the full 6 minutes when they were going to say the same thing they had just said a few minutes ago for 6 minutes. But I will endeavor to do the very best I can. I know that you aren't being critical, or I hope you aren't being critical of me, but I just understand, you know, that we want to be fair and keep the rules straight for everyone. Yes, Mr. Attorney.
Mr. Humphreys, I'll be glad to have, if you want, call my office, and I'll set up a meeting with myself and Paul Chiplock and you, and we can discuss that article and, you know, talk about these issues. Happy to do that.
Well, that's something else that maybe wanted to be said, and that is, everybody has the opportunity to call, and I know you've all called me many times, call before the meeting and talk to us about issues instead of waiting and just having, in many cases, saying similar things each and every week. Not you, again, Mr. Humphreys, and I'm glad that you're feeling better. I'm not going to have a back and forth here.
I just wanted to make one statement, please.
This is what gets me in trouble, Mr. Humphreys. I'm trying to be nice to everybody, and then everybody wants to go back and forth.
No, isn't that what happens in a judicial case?
Okay,
anyway,
this is not a judicial case. You made your, okay. Mr. Humphreys, I'm going to give you 10 seconds.
I just wanted to thank you for your statements. Thank you. And I agree with everyone's comments from today. I appreciate the county attorney's position, and I certainly will reach out to him, because at the end of the day, this is of, by, and for the people.
Yes, it is. Thank you,
And
Mr.
I will
Humphreys.
stand by that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And again, I'm glad you're feeling better. Okay, before we go to the district reports, Commissioner Lockhart.
Well, I'll just throw out, either because I don't have a life or I'm incredibly interested in it, I still listen to the Florida State Board of Education meetings, and they visit around the state, and they take public comment in person, which of course, if you're in Jacksonville and someone lives in Miami, you can't do that. That's not reasonable. So they do take call-in public comment. But the time that is set, and when the time is up, the call disconnects. So you could be mid-sentence, and you don't get to finish your sentence. You have to plan your thoughts and your statements appropriately and timed, and I'm not saying that we should cut people off, but I think it's important for the public to know that there is a state board that has determined that operates taking public comment every month in this state, that, your time is your time, and you are incredibly gracious. And I do think people are taking advantage of you. And so there is a continuum of graciousness, and we could just cut the line off. I'm not suggesting we do that, but that does occur.
And Chairman, and since I weighed in and started this conversation up here, and I'm starting to feel like I might regret it, but I don't regret it yet, so let's keep on a good path. I completely appreciate the change that you created for the positive. We want to embrace public opinion, and we want to embrace public opinion from a variety of citizens. And that second half of it, from my perspective, is in jeopardy if we don't follow our own rules. We can be gracious and welcoming and listening. However, the second half doesn't happen with the average bear that doesn't come to all the meetings if we don't follow the rules, because they need to know what to expect when they walk through that door for the first time to stand at this podium, and it needs to happen consistently. Otherwise, they'll just sit there and won't speak, and we need to hear from them too. So good job. And I appreciate what you've done over the past however many months I've been doing this. I think I could have given birth by now.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. And we're going to move on to district commissioner reports. And first, we have District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I plan on, my only item of the district report is discuss briefly about Deer Run. I can appreciate the frustration that people may have. And I've had this conversation with both the county manager and deputy county manager, Mr. Abel. A lot of times the English language gets in the way. And a good example of that is when you're on the highway and they said, sign says next exit, is it this exit or the next exit? The reason I'm bringing that up is because when staff did the presentation, they said that the ballots would be going out next week, and was this week or next week. And there's a lot of issues sometimes with the English language, and communication is the big issue. The big thing, I believe, and we've all gotten a bunch of emails from the Deer Run community over the past couple of days, over the weekend, I believe, and we did hear what they had to say. Staff doesn't need direction from us. They're extending it so that they have a full 4 weeks. Is that correct, Mr. Abel? And he's nodding his head yes. So no one is being cut short on time. There may be some issues with who's the correct name on the ballot, who has the correct address. I have spoken to Lori about it. I gave her one of the ballots that I was told was misprinted. They did come in and correct it. Staff is going to the extent to try to correct as many of them as they can, to put out as many ballots as they had in a short amount of time. Unfortunately, they're printing them out the way they were gotten from the property appraisers. Is that correct? Is that correct, Lori? It's from the database that we have. They're not actually verifying each one before they send it out. So please be patient with us. If there's an issue that needs to be corrected, I believe staff has got the ability to correct it, and I just want to make sure that everyone understands what's happening. I appreciate all the hard work that the county staff is doing. This is a rather large potential MSBU. I think it's one of the largest ones that we've had. Is that correct, Mr. Abel? It's probably one of the largest ones we've ever had, correct? Okay. So I think communication is the key. If you have any questions and talking to the citizens, please contact the county staff. They will help you get the right ballot, or if there needs to be change on the wording of it, or who's got the right name and the right address, they'll make those changes and they'll be able to email it back to you. I just want to make sure we had that dialogue here today. But I wanted to thank staff, but more importantly, I want to thank the citizens for informing us of the things that are happening, because it is their community. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. District 2, I believe, is not present, and Commissioner Zimbauer was unable to make it this afternoon because of his ongoing injuries. So we're going to go to District 4. Commissioner Lockhart.
All right. Well, the last couple of meetings I've said pass, so I'm going to make up for some of that. Wanted to share with you all that tomorrow is the Central Florida Commission on Homelessness meeting. Always appreciate our staff who participates in that. Carrie Longsworth does a wonderful job of being there virtually. They are all still doing their meetings virtually, and so she's a great asset to have there with me. One of the things that we embarked on at our last meeting was talking about the need potentially for a best practices guide, if you will, for interacting with encampments, homeless encampments around the Central Florida area. Different law enforcement agencies handle them differently depending on the jurisdiction. So it was a great opportunity for us to actually reach out and work directly with law enforcement here in Seminole County. I believe almost every municipality and certainly the sheriff's office has given their feedback about how they interact with homeless encampments in Seminole County. And we're looking for a coordinated opportunity in the region so that, because we know our homeless population is transient, and so hopefully there will bring some consistency there. So that is one of the things that we're working on at the Central Florida Commission on Homelessness. The East Central Florida Regional Planning Council, I think the chairman has some things to bring up about that, but also to let you know that there was a lot of interest about our affordable housing ordinance and how that has changed the way that we are handling impact fees. And so Rebecca and I believe perhaps Allison Thal have both been asked to come and present at the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council meeting on September 15th. So all of our team's good work and what we just adopted will be presented to all of the members of the council in September. The community in Wynwood, the East Altamont community, is very curious about getting an update on Rosenwald and how maybe ARPA funds may be helping to bring that to fruition. So I know Mr. Abel and I are going to be meeting with a representative of their community. It's on your calendar. He just looked up like, I am? Yeah, it's on your calendar. So anyone that is here that has, or virtually that has interest in the Rosenwald project, we're going to be giving an update on that to a couple of community leaders. Also, the 4-H, Seminole County 4-H is hosting a silent auction and fundraiser this week. I believe it is Thursday night at the UF IFAS Extension Auditorium. So if anybody is interested in going and supporting 4-H in Seminole County, that'd be a wonderful way to do that. I had an opportunity to complete the Florida Association of Counties Certified County Commissioner program. It was a year and a half, almost 2 years worth of coursework that I completed this summer, and I'm going to attend the Advanced County Commissioner training that begins October 7th and 8th. It's limited to 22 commissioners around the state of Florida, so I'm hoping that I will be able to be one of them. And I, again, would highly encourage any of my colleagues that have not participated in the Florida Association of Counties Certified County Commissioner program, even if it's just to take a couple of classes. If you don't actually complete the certification, it really does help to give a more well-rounded view of this job that we have serving our citizens. So. Also had the opportunity to serve as a member of a panel for the Greater Orlando Young Republican Club down in Orlando. It was on women in leadership, and Representative Kaylee Tuck from Southwest Florida and I were able to talk to other young women and men leaders in this community and encourage them and talk about what it's like to be in elected office and serving our communities and our state, particularly as women. So that was wonderful. Shout out to that organization, even in the middle of COVID and all of the things that they've had to do. They had a great turnout, and they're doing really good things. So that is the extent of my report.
Thank you very much. And you did want to also say that the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council's meeting is going to be on site in Lake County at is it called the Kroger Superstore?
I did want to say that, yes.
There you go. So
Yes.
go right ahead and say
No,
it.
go, it's fine. You have other things to talk about. You can share that about the Planning Council.
Okay. Commissioner Hur?
Certainly, thank you. I have a few things to say as well. A big thank you and kudos to the permitting section and Frank Consoli for the responsiveness on a citizen's issue with regard to permitting for somebody that's trying to open up a small business and was stumbling along the way. And I appreciate the county manager pointing us in the right direction and helping to get that resolved. Shout out to the community services team for an excellent tour, including Allison, Stacy, Frederick, Casey, and Cora. It was certainly enlightening, and we had a great visit. Both Diane and I went. I had the opportunity to do a presentation at Sertoma with regard to the mobility fees and impact fees, so that was well received, and I think it's important that we get the information into the community. And last, I did a tour of the Novell Parkway site. I don't know if you all are getting emails or not, but I am certainly getting emails around the notion that the development order indicated a requirement to keep as many trees as possible, and it doesn't seem possible to keep trees. And so I thought the best way to learn, I realize all of this happened before I was a member of the board, but the best way to learn was to go out and see it and walk through all of the documents. And Rebecca and Joy and Steve Brooks did a great job of walking us through what's happening out there. And one of the things that I learned was the notion that while the development order says something and the builder attempts to comply with that there's power requirements, and the power may come in. John's looking at me like, of course there are, Commissioner Hur. Somebody's got to plug something in at the end of the day. But the development order doesn't restrict FP&L from coming in or Duke from coming in and doing something after the fact. And I'm sure you guys all know this. You're looking at me like I'm nuts, but learning that is super important, and I think communicating that to the citizens is important, because when the trees get cut down, they just think that we are not complying with our rules. So I thought that was rather enlightening. So thank you to the staff that's endured through all of my meetings for the past month.
Thank you, Commissioner Hur. In my district report, I did want to ask Commissioner Delory, I think that you opened up Lake Mills Park on the 17th. Do you want to give just a brief report on that?
More happy to. Last week, I shouldn't say last week, over a number of months, the county staff with one of our contractors have been renovating Lake Mills Park. They put in a brand-new playground. The playground was pretty phenomenal. I think Domenico was the one that was the contractor that did it. The only thing that was missing in my mind is when we opened up the playground at Red Bud Lake Park. I remember John Horan riding the zip line down and also riding the merry-go-round. That was the only thing that was missing.
That was missing? You didn't do it yourself?
I did not do it.
We appreciate you even more now.
No, but I want to thank staff as well as the contractors for doing what they did. It's a top-notch facility. A lot of hard work went into it, and I think it's going to be another cornerstone of this county, showing that it's important to keep on improving our park system. So I want to thank Rick and his staff for doing it, and a lot of good leadership there. So well done.
Thank you. And, you know, the interesting thing is we are putting parks everywhere in this county. It's not just, you know, where the urban areas are. This was much more of a rural park
It's out in
area.
Chiliota.
Out in Chiliota. That's right, in your district. On Thursday, a part of my report on Thursday, the Links Board will have a meeting. They're refining and defining in a workshop their budget for this year. Most importantly, however, and I just wanted to let you all know, and this is not going to come as a surprise to any of you, they're having a very difficult time in achieving both retention as well as employment of positions, especially bus drivers. So they are doing some very creative things in the both recent past and in the near future to find the opportunity. And in such, if you've heard this, or if you've heard, they have had many times had to cancel some of their lines. So I wanted you to be aware that they are having a difficulty, especially in this time of retaining and working with the bus drivers. And Mr. Harrison is doing, as I said, some very creative things in hiring and with the unions to try to alleviate that problem. I also wanted to bring up that the Sharing Center group that does a great deal of work with us and does some phenomenal work here in this county is having their gala and fundraiser this Saturday, August 28th. I believe that it's at the Marriott. Speaking of the Marriott, I think a friend of all of ours, Bruce Squalo, who's been the general manager, it's his birthday today. You're probably not watching, but happy birthday, Bruce. And also, as Commissioner Lockhart has asked me to say, we'll get more information because it's before the next meeting, but they will be meeting at the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council will be meeting at the Kroger Center, and we're trying to go out and go to some site visits in the various counties. And so the next one will be there, and if you haven't heard, that's a pretty phenomenal site that they have, one of a kind in the state of Florida, and I'm, for one, looking forward to seeing it. So that is my district report.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, back on Lake Mills Park, you know, every time we talk about leisure services, obviously we come up with the name of Rick Durr, but the person that was really involved under Rick was Bill Pendos, and I wanted to thank him specifically, and I just remembered that, so please excuse me for butting in.
Wonderful.
Bill did a phenomenal job.
I will never be upset with us recognizing our wonderful staff when they've done something phenomenal, as many of them do over the almost daily. And the chairman's report, you all received the submissions as well as the solicitations. I did want to let you know, and this was part of something that all of you were made aware of, that I did send a letter out in support of the World Cup, especially the part that is the opportunities that we in Seminole County will have if we do get World Cup. It needed to go to Zurich, Switzerland immediately, and so the Sports Commission reached out, and I was able to do that. I do, however, need your approval, because True Health has asked for a letter from the chairman as a welcome to the Ovation Gala in September 25th. Can I have a motion, please?
Move to approve the request.
Second.
Motion second. Is there discussion?
Oh, they also asked for one, I think, from other offices, so maybe just one from the chairman's office will suffice? Maybe, could Sarah confirm that that is the intent?
Sure, we'll do that.
Okay.
And with that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And I did want to pass along that at the Florida Association of Counties, Commissioner Lockhart was there also, that the county, Seminole County, received the Medium County of the Year for from the FSA, the Florida Sheriff's Association Purchasing Program. Very nice plaque. Thought you'd all like to see that.
The county attorney was there as well.
Oh, that's okay.
We were there.
That's right. The county attorney was there also.
I paid my $50.
That's right. Best rubber chicken lunch ever.
Okay, guys. And I believe that's all I have right now. Does anybody else have anything for the good of the order? At 2:35 in the afternoon, I win the over-under. By the way, Nicole?
Not yet.
Not yet. Anybody else? Seeing none? Meeting adjourned.
Now you want it.